I'm James Backstrom, Dakota County Attorney. It is a sad day that brings me here today to announce filing of murder charges against Roger Holland, age 36 of Apple Valley, in connection with the tragic death of his wife, Marjorie Ann Holland, and the couple's unborn child. Last Thursday morning, at approximately 9:57 a.m., the Apple Valley Police Department received a 911 call from Roger Holland, indicating that his wife was lying at the bottom of a flight of stairs and unresponsive. He told officers later that he had attempted to give her CPR that turned her over. She was lying on her face at first, that turned her over on her back, and then had called 911. When police arrived at the scene, they found Marjorie laying on her back. She was in medical distress. CPR was given by officers, the first officers arriving. As soon as the medical personnel arrived at the scene, Marjorie Holland was immediately transported to Fairview Ridges Hospital. She died approximately 2 hours later at 11:30 a.m. She was pregnant approximately 15 weeks, and her unborn child died as well. Roger Holland told police that the relationship that he had with his wife was good and that they did not have any financial problems. He said they'd been married about 3 years. However, I learned earlier today from the family that they'd been married approximately 2 years and were a couple for a year before that. They had previously lived in San Antonio, Texas. Both are members of the National Guard and Armed Services, and both previously been deployed on behalf of our nation overseas. They have been living in Texas until December of last year. They moved to Apple Valley, the Apple Valley apartment where this incident occurred last December. Officers conducted telephone searches of the cellular telephones of both Roger and Marjorie Holland that were seized in connection with this investigation. They found numerous deleted text messages on those phones that included the couple arguing about their financial situation and other personal concerns. The last argument found on text messages between the two cell phones of this couple occurred the night before Marjorie's death. It was an exchange that happened around 9:30 p.m. in which Marjorie Holland sent her husband a text message indicating that she planned on divorcing him. Officers also found a text between the couple's cell phones relating to a breakfast purchase that allegedly was occurring on March 7, 2013. Roger Holland told police that his wife had requested that he go out for breakfast that morning, which he did. He originally was going to one restaurant and then was texted, declaimed by his wife, asking him to go to McDonald's instead. That exchange occurred at 9:29 a.m. and 9:32 a.m., according to the cell phone records. However, video surveillance at the apartment building showed that Roger Holland did not leave the residence until 9:34 a.m. that morning. Also found on Roger Holland's cell phone was a data entry which occurred the day before this incident on March 6th. The message or the data entry stated that if you pass out and fall down a flight of stairs, can you break your neck? Can your neck be broken if you are? Medical personnel, both first responding medical personnel and the medical examiner in this case found numerous injuries on Marjorie Holland's body, including bruising and abrasions on her head, face, hands, legs, ankles, and feet. The medical examiner who conducted the autopsy in this case also found evidence of thyroid cartilage breakage in the victim's neck, which is consistent with strangulation and inconsistent with falling down a flight of stairs. The victim also had hemorrhaging in her neck muscles and petechia in her eyes, also consistent with strangulation according to the medical examiner. This case will be presented to a Dakota County grand jury in the near future in connection with seeking possible additional charges. at this time, I'll see if you have any questions.
What
Is
do
it the timing of the text messages about breakfast and the surveillance video of him leaving, is that implying that he had sent those between the phones to establish a cover?
I'm not going to imply what the evidence means. You can make your own conclusions what the evidence means, as a jury will ultimately have to do in connection with this case.
But it's implying that those messages were exchanged while he was still there, before the video shows him leaving the home.
I'm going to relay the facts
Okay.
to you at this
All
point.
right.
I'm not going to tell you what I believe the facts indicate.
Jim, do you think you know when she died?
Well, she died at 11:30 a.m. In Fairview Ridges Hospital. She was still alive when she was transported to the hospital. They worked on her for a little over 2 hours to try to save her life. They were unsuccessful, and she passed away approximately 11:30 a.m.
What additional charges are you looking at?
First-degree premeditated murder.
On both?
Yes.
Cause of death?
We haven't received the final medical examiner's report, but when we do, we'll relay it to you what it is. All I can tell you is that the evidence indicated that the victim may have been strangled, and she obviously died as a result of the multiple injuries that she suffered.
Has her family said anything about their relationship?
Her
Any
family?
problems? Yeah.
Her family, I met with her family just before this news conference. They did relay to me that they, at this time, do not wish to make a comment to the media. They're distraught. They're suffering at this time. They're planning a funeral, and they expect the funeral to be Thursday or Friday of this week. They did not speak to me about anything other than what's relayed in this document.
Are they from Texas, Mr. Backstrom, or are they, I mean, when you say family, are they down somewhere else, you know? 'Cause-
Let's see, his father and his stepmother live in Faribault, Minnesota.
okay.
His brother, who I met with today, is from Texas. And there are other family members that we're attempting to contact.
His family?
This is the victim's family. Victim's family. Her father, excuse me if I said his, it's her father and her stepmother live in Faribault. And we're tracking down her natural mother and other relatives.
Did they have a history of domestic violence? Did you already answer that?
Well, they haven't been in the state of Minnesota very long. We're continuing to gather information in connection with the investigation. We're not aware of any information other than what's stated in the criminal complaint at this time.
When was he arrested?
He was arrested, I believe, approximately noon yesterday?
The actual arrest would have been Friday evening.
Friday evening, excuse me.
Okay.
Any incident in the arrest, or was he arrested without incident?
He was arrested without incident to my knowledge.
And one of the notes here, did he call police to say, I need help?
Roger Holland did call police. He came back to the home. There was orange juice that had been spilled near the body. There was a McDonald's bag, that was found at the scene. And the police were called, as I said, at approximately 9:57, just before 10 a.m. As to when these injuries occurred, it was likely at some time before that, but we don't know.
What address did this occur at, Jim?
It's the address listed on the criminal complaint. It's right there. On the actual complaint document lists the complete address.
How would you characterize the detective work that went into, looking at all these things and putting all these pieces together?
This is a very, obviously the investigators on this case, both from the Apple Valley Police Department, the Dakota County Sheriff's Department that has assisted, and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension have all been involved in the investigation of this case. They've been working around the clock since this incident came to light, and they're still working on this case. The Sheriff's Office has a forensic evidence unit right here in Hastings, and they've been assisting with analyzing the cell phones for data.
Jim, when you say there was a data entry on his phone with the search that you mentioned, was that like an internet search, or was that like a little tidbit of data that suggested an internet search? What can you tell us about that?
Well, all I can tell you is what the entry stated. At this time, we're continuing to do forensic analysis to see if we can determine anything further about that particular entry.
Was that an internet search? When he says data entry, I'm kind of confused
It
exactly.
may have been related to an internet search, but at this point in time, we're continuing to analyze the details of that aspect of the investigation.
How sad is this for you, working a case like this, another one, we've had so many here around the cities, a woman and her unborn child?
Well, this is an extremely sad and tragic event. For a mother and her unborn child to die, allegedly at the hands of her husband and the child's father, it's hard to believe. And we have seen far too many domestic-related homicides in the Twin Cities in the last several months. I'm sad to say that we are alleging another occurred in Dakota County this past Thursday morning.
Do you know where he worked, Jim?
I do not know the details of his employment. They're still involved with the military, but I don't know if they're actively involved at this stage or not.
Jim, the complaint just says 157th Street West. Oh, no,
Well,
mine's
It's right up on the,
Got
right
it.
underneath
Sorry.
Mr. Holland's name is the actual address.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Do we have complaint copies of the complaint